my next question is kind of a loaded one.
Okay.
Again, it relates to another one of your books.
Okay.
Is Peter Parker Jewish?
I think he kind of is, but it's hard. Even though I was an editor who had him going to church one time, that
Hmm.
I didn't think it was. Look, I wrote a book called Disguised as Clark Kent: Jews, Comics, and the Creation of the Superhero. I'm known as one of the foremost scholars of Jews and superheroes. Hence, maybe my connection to Will Eisner and the Eisner studio. One second.
Yeah. This is a thing that I see a lot debated in social media, whether or not he's Jewish or
Yeah,
coded Jewish, and
I think
obviously
Peter is quoted Jewish, being from Forest Hills. But Ditko was not Jewish. Ditko, he was, I forget exactly what his religion was, but he was an he's from Eastern European descent, but not Jewish. But Stan
Stan's
was
Jewish.
Jewish, and they were the co-creators. I think he was very New York. And I think the characters who were more Jewish, well, the Thing, I have my issues with that, but the Thing is in canon is Jewish. I found the Jewish roots of the mighty Thor, actually. And
Really?
well, I mean, there was a big thing in the early issue when I was a kid. The early issues of Thor. Thor was the god of thunder, but he wanted to marry Jane Foster, who at that point had not become Thor herself, but was Dr. Don Blake's nurse.
Hmm.
And Thor wanted to marry this mortal girl, and Odin, drawn very much looking like a biblical Moses figure, in thunderous tones, forbids Thor to marry Jane Foster. And they have and it wasn't just a subplot in one issue or two issues. It went on for months and years. And then Thor brings Jane to Asgard, where Odin gives her superpowers, which is sort of like having her convert or something, and it becomes a fiasco, and just nothing good comes of it. And Odin sends her back to Earth, where she meets another doctor, right? Because I guess that's that's the
Who looks
stand.
exactly like Don Blake?
Who looks exactly like Don Blake, but is not crippled,
Yeah.
is not disabled, and he introduces Thor to a nice Asgardian girl named Sif.
Hmm.
Just that seemed to me to have more the subtext of Lee and Kirby, and Stan came. I'm finding out more and more. Had a very kind of New York Jewish background, not particularly religious, but a very kind of a culturally and ethnically New York Jewish background, and he married a Presbyterian woman from England. Whereas Jack Kirby grew up Jewish in Brooklyn and Lower East Side, marries the Jewish girl next door in Brooklyn, and they both were very happily married for decades. So that to me is like the essential Marvel dialogue and tension, and sort of the Jewish subtext. I think you could make an argument for Peter Parker, but I mean the guilt could just as easily be Catholic guilt as Jewish guilt over Uncle Ben and over how Aunt May is treated. So I don't think it's an argument without any background or any coding, but oddly enough, I found more in Thor, and some other characters.